Thank you guys. This is really sweet. This is cool. And we'll get started with some ground rules. Number one, this is like really casual. And like, if you guys have anything to say, whether it's a question or a comment, as long as I'm not in the middle of one of my actual songs, like, just like talk. And like, not like to me. And that'll be good, just because I want this to be like, I don't know. What's the word? Whatever. No. Huh? Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're my dad. Yeah, so I'm gonna play 4 songs, which are not gonna be 25 minutes each, as someone was wondering about it. But they, in between, I'll talk about my process and my course and about the songs and about music, and yeah. And I'll start off with a song just to set the mood. And then, yeah, let's get into it. Cool. So, this song I wrote like a month ago. All of these songs were from the, well actually no, okay. So I started a challenge course in the fall, aka an independent study, and I've worked like 135 hours or something on it, and so this is functioning as its final presentation. And it was in songwriting, and yeah, so these are all songs I wrote in the second half of the course, or the last third, basically. So this is a song I wrote a month ago for a good friend of mine. Yeah.
I know you know
By the way, can you hear me when I'm not in the microphone? Right? Yeah? No? Okay. So, a love songs. Okay, how we do that? So, huh? I'll figure it out. It is okay. So one thing I learned in the past couple months, and I learned this pretty early on, is that I was kind of aiming to do really cool songs about like cool things that weren't just like what most songs are about. As in, I wasn't gonna write love songs. But then I figured out, and this song was a product of that, is that love songs aren't about, like, don't have to be about anything romantic, they don't have to be about anything like that, they can be about pretty much anything, and they're always relevant. Because if any deep emotion we feel, even if it's a deep apathy of not caring about anything deeply, it's rooted in something where you care deeply, which is rooted in love. And so I came to be okay with writing them and like writing them and realizing that I can write them about anything. And this is for my friend, who I feel very romantically attached to. But like, the musical is putting on Annie this spring, and that's a love story. That's like, there's no denying it. It's just like a classic love story, and I have other songs that aren't about, like, necessarily even people I love that are love songs. I'll mention that later. Hi, Mark. Yeah.
Sorry to be your father. Can you take the microphone and actually point it between us and you? Because whenever you go away even a little bit, your voice goes away.
Okay.
So you have to change the angle towards you.
Can someone help me, please?
It goes away.
Well, there. I mean, there.
Because it's pointing. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
So when you
There we go. That's all we need.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we back on? We're back on. Okay. Here we are. All right. Okay. There we go. That will go wrong again, but we'll just wait for it. So, yeah, better? Cool? Yeah, so that is my little talk about that song. And my next song is called Affection, and it relies, we're gonna get musical here. It relies, my bass hand plays a huge part in this song and making it sound the way it does, and I'm going to talk about a few things I've learned about that. So, to preface this, all musical theory tools can be extremely useful in any song you want to write. But some you kind of, it's about like putting them together, and this is one musical tool that I really enjoyed figuring out how to use it to my advantage, and it's descending harmony, which means basically a chord progression or chords that move down on the piano, whether that's with the right hand or the left hand,
and with this, it's with the left hand. And so, the way I usually write music or get inspiration to write music is through listening to other music. Not for my own emotions or personal issues, but just, which almost feels like I'm copying other people, but I don't think I am. You can think what you want. So here's a few places I heard descending harmony, and this will showcase the just crazy versatility it has in creating a mood in a song. So, John Lennon, in the 70s sometime, who knows, wrote a song, no, he wrote it in the 60s, and then it was recorded in the 70s, called Real Love, and it has a descending, the left hand goes like this. And so it's just going down the scale to the fourth degree of the scale, the F. This is in C. I know a lot, some people don't understand that, and that's like, I don't know. That's fine, but I'm still gonna say it. Because it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't, that part, I shouldn't even be saying that because it doesn't matter even to musicians. Okay, and then, so this is descending harmony left hand when you couple it with chords, which how it goes sounds like this. Sounds very different, but still listen to the left hand. The melody, which completes that composition, goes like this. This doesn't count if you're judging my performance. All my little plans and schemes lost like some forgotten dreams. Seems like all I really was done was waiting for you. So it creates a very melancholy kind of feeling, and one might address that to the left hand because it's going down into the depths of emotion and hell. But here's another song that has almost the exact same bass line. J'ai pas la vie, c'est la venue, le petit cœur, c'est le Well, I'm gonna try that one time because I really want to do this. Okay. Je me baladais sur l'avenue, le cœur de feu, le connecté. Je l'avais servi, c'est pas, je pensais bien. C'est hypothèque et ce fouet, j'ai tapé, c'est parti, hop, oh, Champs-Élysées, oh, Champs-Élysées. Au soleil, sous cette pluie, à midi, à minuit, il y a que ces coups de les Champs-Élysées. That's the left hand, and that's what crazy stuff that can do. And then there's another aspect of descending harmony which goes in the right hand with taking chords and just bringing notes down. And this also, this is, in the recording, this is this song, which I'll tell you what it is, but not yet. This descending line is played by George Harrison on the guitar. And so this is another tool I learned, which is to take a single chord and just bring it down, change new chords, whatever. Sounds like this. So there's another very relaxed, like floating through the sky thing with the descending chords, but then you can make it extremely hectic and danceable if you just take the bottom note of the chord with a classic kind of Latin salsa thing. Creates a totally new atmosphere. This is not going to last long, so don't expect much. That's it. So now with this next song, I did all that. There was a purpose. It was so you can listen for this aspect that I used with the bass descending lines. It's not in C like the other two songs. It's in D, so that might be a problem. But here's the bass line. Very similar to Champs-Élysées and Real Love. And I wrote this right after listening to Real Love. So that's that. Yeah. Nobody bothered to tell me how overwhelming affection could be. And now I see a wonderful feeling I didn't see coming. We ended up stealing a little loving, and I don't know how I feel about it. Will I become a habit for her? Am I feeling high off of just high off of affection? I'd like to take her out, maybe I'm crazy with affection. And I really like the way she looks when she looks at me. She is still a good friend, and honestly, I'd rather go outside with our whole clan and get skinnies instead of romance. It's oppressive to fancy the way she obsesses over me. I hope she gets the message, 'cause if we got together, all I'd get would be a week of self-esteem. I don't deserve that from anyone else but me. Feeling good about myself ain't the responsibility of anyone. Let's see. So, I want to talk a little bit about my process, because that's kind of what leads you through anything like this course. And so what I normally do is I'm listening to music, and then my head explodes, and I run to a piano and turn on my voice memos, and I record anything that comes out. Or I'm sitting at the piano with a blank head, and I just shove ideas into my head until there's enough to record. And this usually, I pretty much never recorded a full song, whether it's finished or not, at the same time. In my first, I've never recorded a song with a verse and a chorus, even just a verse and a chorus. I just have a verse, and I'm working on 5 songs at once. And sometimes that means that there's a total loss of continuity in my songs. And I'll end up and I'll be like, I could just take one part of this song and another part of this song and another part of this song that I'm working on that are totally unrelated and put them together, and each part would fit just as well, which is a bad thing. Because that means that they're not, there's no continuity, whether that's musically or emotionally. And so that was my biggest obstacle in the course, was figuring out how to, because I like the process of just having a bunch of ideas and then working them together. And I guess I didn't really change my approach very much. I could have, but I didn't. But I don't know what I did. I guess it's not a good lesson to take, to just do something that's not working and not change it until it works. But I think it's a little better now. And let's see, so now we're on the subject of the course itself and how I work through it. And the main arc that I went through over the course was trying to find a balance between simplicity and my songs being complicated, and that musically mostly, along with lyrics. I started out, I was that guy that wrote lyrics that have big words in them, which can be kind of distracting, and I don't know, lyrics don't matter until you put music to them, but I had lyrics that I tried to have them sound good without the music, and then when I put the music to them, they sounded pretentious. And so then I went all the way to the other side, and I learned a few chords on guitar, so I could just do a few chord songs, and that it was just super simple, extremely simple, and I started playing piano very simply, just 3 chord, 4 chord songs, which is very different from what I started. I started out with more chords than are in any of these. I started with 13 chord songs, and weird stuff like that, which is good, but I was doing it for the purpose of writing music that showed how much I knew about theory, which is really bad. So then I switched over, I wrote some songs on guitar. What I did, this is pretty smart, I think. I wrote songs on guitar and then transferred them to piano so they couldn't be complicated, because I don't know guitar and I know piano. But then, all of these songs were written after a point where at least I think I figured out somewhat of a balance between simplicity and complication. And yeah, so that's one of the main things I learned, is that you can't write music that you're writing it to show off lyrical or vocal or any sort of ability if you're trying to write actual songs. If you're trying to write audition pieces, maybe, but I had much better results when I was just totally unself-conscious with the way they sounded, although I still wouldn't perform them in front of everyone, in front of anyone, I mean. but I felt better singing them by myself because they felt like I wasn't pressuring myself into being impressive. Yeah. So, a few weeks ago, this was a really good point in my course, even though I thought I'd written all my songs for my portfolio, but I went to Cuba with my mom. Where is she? And I met a bunch of musicians there, I met a bunch of musicians, I played with two of them, and music there is just so important and so vital and so good that, for example, I played with one kid, sat in his room, we traded some songs, and I said, and I had been introduced to him as a musician, and so I said, and so I played a few songs on piano because that's the instrument I play. That's the instrument I write songs on. And then he says, okay, what songs do you have on guitar? What horn arrangements do you have? Because if you're a musician in Cuba, you're an amazing musician. Because that's how it works there. Like if you label yourself as a musician, you better be a frickin' musician. And I thought I was a musician, but I barely even held up to those standards at all. And it was just amazing, and their arrangements, they had a very distinct feel. And the kids I played with were all in music school already at like the age of 17 or 18 or 19. And I'm not sure if this is a facet of music schools places because I've never been, but their arrangements on piano were just so complete. Like I have chords and lyrics, and they had scores, and they didn't even need to write it down, but they had these beautiful like counter melodies and like arrangements on the piano that made me feel really bad. But so I came back and I was like, I need to write a song. I need to write a really good song just to like make myself feel better. And so I wrote one. I was so like inspired almost out of self-loathing that I wrote a song on the plane. I wrote a song on the taxi to the airport from Cuba. And then I finished it on the plane. And of course it wasn't good because I didn't have a piano. But I got home and I worked on it. It was like a Sunday night before we got back to school. I worked on it until like 1 a.m. That is also another problem. I write my songs way too late at night. But only when I have like homework. Because otherwise I don't feel like I need to write a song for some reason. So this is a song I wrote, and also because I wanted to prove to myself that I can do things. I wrote some of it in Spanish, but then I sent it to someone back there, and they were like, "Do you want me to like edit all the Spanish for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." So there's still a lot of my Spanish in there, but because some of it didn't rhyme, so I kept it like incorrect because who's gonna care? So this is a song kind of about my last night there, and it is called La Rampa, which is the street in like the Vedado neighborhood of Havana where I like spent my last night with friends. And I wrote this for one of my friends there. Yes, that's exactly the same way that Something in the Way She Moves starts, but that's okay. I'm only in Montreal, and I already wanna call you tan fuerza and solamente noche mi Paula, mi Paula, mi Paula. Los calles desiertos y tú y yo, la luna, el cielo. Los calles fuman mientras tú y yo caminamos por el centro. Que vero, que hello, I'm only in Montreal, and I already want to call you tan fuera and solamente noche. Mi Paula, mi Paula. Of course we met on Friday. I think about all the things that we could say if I only found you on Monday. Hasta December. Julio, you'll only be at my street. Un sueño, hasta someday, someday. Oh, someday, someday. Someday we all. Here we go. Hasta someday we Yeah, that one's really sappy, and I like that. I'm okay with that. I like that. So, one of the chords in there is my favorite chord, and it's the diminished chord. And in this chord, in this song, it sounds like this, and it goes into this. So, here's a little fun history about the diminished chord. Just kidding. No, I don't know any. Okay. So, I just wanted to say that. So, the diminished chord has been used in classical music for a while, like about since Bach, I learned. or used prolifically. And people figured out a lot of cool ways to do it. It's very romantic era sounding. And then it was introduced to jazz partly when the bebop scale came into existence. The bebop scale, most scales are 7-tone. The bebop scale, or this bebop scale, has 8 tones. So there's a major scale. And this is, I don't know the actual name for it, but it's this specific bebop scale. And it was created partially because it sounds cool, partially, or also because it allows, when improvising, it allows rhythms so when a pianist, let's say, a pianist is comping or playing the chords of some jazz song or blues song, and let's say it's just a blues. This is not what bebop sounds like, by the way. And so when using the bebop scale, your improvisation actually becomes on rhythm if you're going up, rather than, so you start on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, rather than 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which is jazzy because it's weird, but it's really nice to be able to just go for it if you're Charlie Parker or Dizzy Gillespie. I know they didn't just have to go for it; they were good. But as a player, this scale it shows this amazing thing that happens if you use this scale and you take 4 notes like this from it. That's a C major 6 chord. Then, if you just move those all a half step, new chord. So there's 2 chords. Then you're back to the C major 6 chord, back to the 2nd chord. And all of these chords are comprised of, like, every other chord is comprised of the same 2 notes, which creates this really interesting symmetry that you can do a lot with. Just let me get through this. And so the diminished chord is that 2nd chord. And even though it has no notes in common with that original major 6 chord, it's got this amazing, like, tense and, like, roiling quality that makes that so satisfying to come down. And that partially comes from the fact that the diminished chord, if you just add 1 note, that becomes the 5 chord of that scale. And the 5 chord is just the most basic 5 to 1. It's just the most basic cadence that exists in music. Pretty much. That's a weird fact, but because it's debatable. But it's very normal sounding. Little bluesier, still very normal, very classic. And then there's a sharp 9 in the flat 9 in that 5 chord. And it turns out if you take away this hard note, which I know you can't see, but that's okay. And that's your diminished chord. And it's the same all the way up, which is, there's only a couple chords that are like that. And that was probably incomprehensible, but that's what makes it beautiful. Okay.
Hey, when was the bebop era?
The bebop era was headlined by Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie, 2 main ambassadors. That was in, we just got here. Crap. The bebop era was in the 40s. Well, I mean, it continued, and people are still playing bebop, but that was the era. End of the 50s. How's that? Nice. Yes. Okay, so I have one more song, and I have a special guest that's gonna come and sing with me. This is another love song, and this love song isn't even for a person, it's for a made-up time and place, which is a real stretch, but it's true. And where is it? She has it. So, how's your microphone?
Is it good?
Yeah. So, this, out of all of these songs, this was the earliest one I wrote. I wrote about 2 months ago, I think. And this is the song I've probably revised the least. And therefore there are some parts of it, because I played it so long without revising it, that the original rough draft became just what it was in my mind, and therefore I found it really hard to revise the parts I didn't like, so I just kept them. So they're still in there. Like there's a lyric that says next to the mar again, and mar is Spanish for sea, and that was a filler lyric, and it doesn't even rhyme. But I've sang it so much, just whenever I practice it, I sing it, and I practice it a lot. Don't raise your expectations. But I just kept it, so it's still there, and so just deal with it. So this is Maeve, and we've been working on this, kind of. Okay. Ready? So this is your first note. Ready? So I really should have ended with a song. That was a big mistake. But I guess I don't have that much more to say. But I guess I should say what's next in terms of what I figured out that I should move on to and what I should keep learning. And for that, I think it's trying to figure out how to make my compositions have more continuity and continuity. Wow. I almost wrote down the phonetic spelling of that in science class today on a sheet of paper so I'd remember to say it right. That's sad. So, yeah, that, and I don't know, I guess I reached the peak, I think. I don't know. But I still need to write some reflections to get credit for this course. That's one thing to do. That won't take too long. That'll be fine. I'll have a lot to write about. But yeah, it's been really, really nice. And I think one of the major lessons that's not about music is that school is a lot more fun if you're in control of at least one part of it. Like if you're just totally in control of one part, then everything else you feel like is kind of more for you, rather than like just being confused about that part. Yeah. So no one said anything. Does anyone have any questions or comments or anything? Seth Itzcan, orange jacket.
Alden, first of all, thank you. That was wonderful. I'm a bass player. Your brother's a bass player. I noticed your presentation was pretty much entirely, the discussion was about melody and chords and stuff like that, but you were just in Havana, and that they're just so known for the percussive and for the meter. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about rhythm as opposed to chordal structures, and particularly like offbeats and upbeats and stuff like that.
That's a really relevant question, because in the last week, I've been like fiddling, playing these songs different ways in different, even like feeling different parts of the measure, and thank God I did that, because I realized like my songs, either they all blended into the same rhythm or beat. It was just they like I have one song here that's 3/4. La Rampa is 3/4, and that was good because I didn't have any of those before, and so I was like, I need to do that too. But I've been doing a lot of that work just by listening to other music and just copying the feel of some other song, whatever it is, whether like any genre, and just trying to put that in my music, and like because I tend to focus. I mean, it's a songwriting course, so I'm focusing on the songwriting. But then when I think about how I'm going to present it, if you're just feeling everything 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, people are going to want to leave after like 2 songs, or after like half of the song, because that it just doesn't work. And so that is actually the main thing that I need to work on, because I like the closest I get to playing with a drummer with my songs. I know I can do other things about this, like have my dad drum during my songs, like if I'm practicing them, but is taking my recordings, which I did without a metronome or anything, and going to the drum set and trying to play with them, but they're not in rhythm because I didn't do them with a metronome. So that's difficult. But the main thing I need to work on is, because I've realized that it's just a whole new dimension to work on rhythms and backbeats and stuff. And I've tried to put that in piano playing, but that's kind of inconsistent and sometimes a little just weak, especially because I'm not like I've had to learn how to play piano and sing at the same time as well. So yeah, the answer to that question is that I don't know enough about that yet. And that's actually probably the biggest thing going forward, is to work on that. And I think playing with other people is really, like, that would really elevate that. And that's something I also haven't done very much. And and so that, even that, like, singing with another person was really, really fun for me. Like, my own composition, that was like blew my mind that I could do that. Have someone else like sing my lyrics, so it's just really nice. Yeah. Anything else? Hey. This summer, in a world that, I want to write more songs, record whatever, my best 5 or something, by midsummer or something, and put something out. Not to make money, not to gain fans, just to have that experience. Because I'm not gonna make money. That doesn't happen. That's another thing I've learned. I haven't tried, but So that, I'll let the world know when that happens. And I just found out about Chico's studio in the bottom of CATV, so that is something that hopefully might happen. I'm asking you here in front of everyone, so you better say yes. Yeah, okay. That's the thing I'm really excited for, just for that experience. What else? All right. Well. An encore? No, absolutely not. No. No, you can't.
What about a Beatles song?
A Beatles song? I can play the little examples I played again.
Superstition.
I was singing that to myself in the bathroom right before I came here. Before I got here. But I was saying the same line over and over again because that's all I know. Someone might have heard me, but yeah. No. Sorry. Also, it's the end of Student Appreciation Week. And it's been, I think it's really rare to get this amount of support for a challenge course or an independent study anywhere, no matter what it's in. So thank you so much for caring about it, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.